you'd be interested in what kind of plants is out here?
Sure. Tell me all about your plants.
This is a white dogwood. It's our wife's birthday gift. That's keep it water because it's been set out about 6 months. This is a rhododendron.
Do you have much trouble keeping stuff alive in the heat?
Hard to dry this again. Have to keep them watered. This is Cleone. This one. That's a rare thing with most people. But they reseed themselves. Now this over here is azalea and rhododendron. One of these rhododendrons are pink and the other one's lavender. And azaleas is all kind of colors. We got them all kind of colors. White, pink.
How long ago did you plant them?
Are they?
How long ago did you plant them?
These are several years old. You have to keep water because it's dry here, and they're used to having, this is really a mountain plant, rhododendron. It's used to more water than we have here. This tree here is a Japanese magnolia. It's one of the first things that blooms in the spring. It's big pink blossom. And that's one of the first things that blooms in the spring.
Somebody just had an accident.
Have they?
Somebody just had an accident at the intersection. See?
They had a bad accident up there the other day.
Well, you just heard a good one right there.
Yeah, I had one there about last August or September. I pulled out in the street and the Volkswagen tried to run over me. Big bushes, chameleon. That's a Professor Sargent chameleon. And all these small little things are azaleas, and they're all different colors.
So this yard must look beautiful in the spring.
Oh yeah, they're really beautiful.
Sort of what they call a riot of color.
I've had right good luck with them because I've kept them watered and I hadn't lost any to my anything. This tree right here is English dogwood. It blooms in the spring with a white blossom on it. That's white ash. That comes from the river. It has what's called grandpa's graybeard, out on it. Versus this is Judas bush. Redbud. This tree right here is American holly. It comes from the river. It's wild, and I set it out when it was about a foot high.
Did you go down to the river and dig it up yourself?
Yeah. Right on around this way I'm rooting some plants here. This is oh shucks, I can't get the name of this thing going right. This is jade plant. Now I'm rooting those for sale.
So the big jade plant you have up on your porch.
Yeah, that's the big one. That's where those come from. Now this plant's right in here where I'm watering. That's sweet shrubs off the river. Right here. And that big tree over there, that one is buckeye, come from the river.
See, my wife should have come down with me. She's got a lot of succulents. And
this multiplies a lot. I set out a small bunch there and it's already about 10 foot square now. It multiplies. It has, the only flower I know of is brown. The blossom is brown.
well, maybe you can answer a question. All the way driving in here, we were smelling what smelled to me like honeysuckle, but all I saw was kudzu. Does kudzu have an aroma?
Gardenia's got a special smell of his own is all that I know. That's the gardenia in the middle of the yard out there that I was
So
watering.
when we were driving down on Route 5, all on both sides of the road, you'd have kudzu. And a lot of times we'd smell a rather sweet, almost a honeysuckle type smell.
Well, it may be that they have, it has a smell. I don't know. I
So
don't
it
see,
smelled sweet.
I don't see much about it. Well, honeysuckles, I got them growing on my fence all the way around the place. Yeah. This is impatience. Right along there is impatience. And the ivy there, I keep it trimmed off of the tree. It goes up the tree and kills it. So I keep it. I built a rock circle around here and put the ivy in it, and I can trim it off over there. When I first came here, that tree was, I don't know, about, could have been over 15 or 18 inches in diameter. It grew that much since 1939.
You mean there's a tree in this yard you didn't plant?
Huh?
There's the first tree in this yard you didn't plant?
Yeah, that's the one I showed you that I didn't plant. Yeah. This was put on the lot before I bought the lot. This house was built in 1939. And those feeders out there are volunteers on the fence. Bird cared to feed and dropped in, so that's it. I did have a wisteria vine on this tree, and I cut it down because it was running the tree. This is a regular mock iron, the thorn kind. This little tree has little oranges on it about so big. Iris, it's about 15 times.
Oh, they're so pretty.
These small leaves, and daylilies.
Oh, they're all over Long Island.
Okay, we're rolling.
Okay, Mr. Roach, tell us how you got into the mills when you were young.
I went to Rocky Printing Finishing Company in April the 15th, 1931. The company that I worked for before going there closed March the 15th, 1931. And at the time, there was 4 persons in Rock Hill that people could get a job at the plant. It was city manager, Bill Goodman, and the mayor, Bonnie Johnson, and Dr. Stevens, the company doctor, and Ned Marshall, an oil dealer. And at that time, I'd purchased a small house from Mr. Marshall, and a month later, I was out of a job, and I told him that I couldn't make the payments unless I had some work. So he told me that to report to the plant that they would give me a job over there. And I reported, and there was about 300 people standing on the lawn at the time. And the man that hired me was Mr. J.J. Adams, who was the foreman in the white department. He came out and called my name and told me to come on and go in the plant. They didn't even have a personnel department at that time. And from that time on, I worked in the white department, the first shift, for 50 years. And I did all the jobs that was operated in that department. But my real job was stock and inventory man for New York. I made a report to New York once a week of the goods, white goods, as in inventory in the plant at that time. And at one time, I took my stock by estimation. And New York decided at one time that they weren't satisfied with my estimation, so they had the night crew to run 4 rows of cloth and put the tickets in without the yardage. In the morning when I came in, they told me that New York wanted me to estimate the yardage on those 4 rows, see how close my estimation was. And I went in and took out a little card and my pencil and started writing the yardage down for each row. And every row was a different kind of cloth. Some of it was voile, some of it was percales, and some of it was sheeting that they napped. And I wrote all those yardages down for each row and added them and handed them to the foreman. And he said, "That's impossible." He said, "What you mean it's impossible?" He said, "You can't nobody do that." I said, "Well," I said, "I've been doing it for years, and I know I'm close, but I don't know how close." And I said, how close am I?" He held up 4 fingers. He said, "Just 4 yards." I said, "That ought to prove then that my estimation is right." Well, cloth was run on rows and stacked on 2 rows to a skid and piled in lines as many as 3 high, and when I'd take inventory, I wouldn't look at the tickets. I'd estimate the rows in the line, the number of rows and the size, and set that down and then go for another thing. And if we got below 10 million yards, we thought we were low, and sometimes it run as much as 14 million yards in the plant of white goods already bleached.
Could you tell me how old you were when you first started working and how far you got in school?
When I first started working, you mean at the plant or what?
No, when you first started, when?
I was, at 10 years old, I was plowing in the field. Some of the roughest country around. And I was working cotton and corn and garden stuff. And after that, why, I drove a wholesale truck for Reid Company. And they would take orders a day ahead. Man would take orders a day ahead. And I would load the truck the next morning and by the orders that he had taken. And I would deliver the goods and collect either checks or cash, mostly cash. People then paid for cash. It's sometimes I would collect from Keesler Company in Great Falls as much as $300 in silver because Great Falls paid off in odd dollars in silver. So I'd have to have a special bag to carry it in, and that was held up, but I was permitted to carry a gun. So, sometimes at my job I could get through pretty quick, and other times it took me late in the afternoon and first part of the night to get through, and they would check me in as I returned to the wholesale place.
Do you remember how much you were making before the New Deal came in, and then what happened when Roosevelt came in?
I went to work. I was making 12 hours a week with Reid Company, and I went to work in the Blue Tree in 1931 for 20 cents an hour and worked for 65 hours. And my check when I worked a full week was $13.20. Of course, there wasn't any tax deductions then, and I got by with the NRA came in. Well, I think the wages increased to 32 or 35 cents, some in the neighborhood of that, and we finally decided that the only way that we could deal with the company would be to organize, and that we would that way we could bargain for wages, job security, and seniority, and all the things that amounted to more benefits for the people. And I was active in organizing. I signed up people when they passed the books to us through the fence at the plant, and it was 4 or 6 weeks we had majority of the plant signed up, and the election was held in April of 1947, I believe. I'm not sure about the date, but anyway, no, it wasn't then because the war was going on, and the war was over in 47. We pretty easy to sign the people up, and I was very active in the signing up for people, and we National Labor Relations Board called for an election, and we were slated to have the election. And at one time, I don't know whether I'll say this or not, but one time I took some cloth to a department, and the general manager was in that department, and I deposited the cloth for them to run in that department. He walked up to me and said, "Reid, I want you to be here when we hold an election. I'm expecting you to vote against the union." And I couldn't say a word because I didn't know. I knew he knew that I'd been signing up people. And he walked off, and I went back down to my department, and the foreman was there, and I said, "Boy, I tell you," I said, "I feel like I'm up against it." I said, "I believe Mr. Greer is putting the pressure on me to vote against the union." I said, "He knew good and well that I've been signing people up." And I said, "I don't know what the outcome's going to be." Well, in about 10 minutes, I missed the foreman. So he went up to Mr. Greer's office and told him that I said that he thought he was putting the pressure on me. He come back downstairs and where I was working. He said, "Mr. Greer wants to see you in his office right away." I said, "Okay." I said, "What do you want?" He said, "I'm not sure," but he said, said for you to come up there right away. I walked into his office and spoke to him. He said, well, Roach, he says, I hear that you think I'm putting the pressure on you to keep you from voting for the union. I said, Mr. Greer, I said, that's just the way I feel. He said, well, I want you to know that that's not the way I feel about it. I said, well, that's the way I took it. I said, now, Mr. Greer, I said, I want to tell you, I said, I've always been truthful in this plant and people that I worked for. I said, now, the man that hired me is in the next door office there. I said, if you want to ask him if I've ever made any misstatements or told any falsehoods, call him out. He says, no, sir, I don't need to call him out. He says, that part doesn't bother me. I said, okay. I said, let's me and you come to a complete understanding about the Turkey Store Workers Union, because I said, I was slated to go to the Army just before the election. And it happened the 35-year limit come out just before the election happened, so I didn't got a 2A. And he said, well, I want to tell you one thing. He said, for your honesty and way that you've approached me, and you thought that I was pressuring you, said, I want to tell you I respect you more than anybody in this plant that I know of. He said, I'll say you are a real man, and said, you don't have to worry about anything that I think about you. And from that time on, he and I was as good a friends as anybody could be. So he always had the best respect for me, and I did him. So he treated me just like I wasn't going to vote for the union as far as that was concerned.
Now, tell us what you did in the union.
Sir?
Tell us what you did in the union.
What did you do in the union?
Oh, I was president of first, local first president. And the reason I run for a second term, reason I wasn't elected, we had a financial secretary was an alcoholic. And I spent my time and all the effort that I could to get that fellow out of office to hold office in the union, because it wasn't satisfactory for that kind of a person to have an office in. And of course I had a run-in with the executive board. There's 7 people, and over that, because he is in the executive board. And a couple of the other people that was on the executive board, they were indulgers too, so they kind of took up for him. But I lost that election on account of that, and then the next year after that, I was elected recording secretary, and I served as recording secretary for 12 years. And I wrote up the minutes for the meetings and executive board meetings and everything. And finally, I give up running for office in the union. And of course, I always respected everything that the union done. And during 1956, the company disagreed on some of the things that unions demand, and they put the pressure on, and finally the union went out on strike. But they had, we were out 13 weeks, and the national union sent in supplies that we used. They made a grocery commissary out of a union hall, and everybody was issued staples for sugar and flour and that kind of thing, potatoes and everything. Union furnished it, and we survived all right. We didn't have a great lot, but we had enough to get by. And the 13 weeks we had a meeting, and decided that we wasn't gaining anything without staying out. Went back for about what we came out for, except we had more rights in the negotiations as we did before we went out. And after that, the negotiations with the company were on a even keel. We didn't have any more real disagreements with the company.
Let's go back to 1934. Do you remember what happened in 1934 with the big strike when all the plants came out? In 1934, do you remember what happened then when all the plants came out?
Well, the National Guard from here was sent to the plants, I think to Union and other towns around. And some of our boys from our local had to serve in the National Guard at these places. And by the way, they put, in 56, they put the National Guard at Rock Hill Printing and Finishing. The reason that, the main reason that they did, we had, they were hauling goods by freight and by truck from the plant, and there was a truck was loading goods, and a crew of the strikers went round to the opposite side of the plant where they were loading, and were going to upturn the truck, and they within 15 minutes they had the National Guard out, and they set up machine guns in the street and on top of the building. And of course the lawn then was right up to the front door, and the people were crowded on the sidewalk, and there was houses in front of the thing. And the people in front allowed the people to congregate in the yard, but they couldn't, get on the bleacher property. And one instance that I know of, I don't remember the boy's name, but anyway, he was standing with his feet off of the curb like this, his toes sticking over, and the National Guard captain told him to move back. He didn't move, and the private had a bayonet on his rifle. He first told him, he says, stick him, and he said, he held up a little bit. He says, I said stick him, and he made a stab at him, and the boy grabbed the bayonet like this and pushed it away from him. When he pulled it out, it just split his hand open, and the sheriff was Moss at the time for York County. He took him and into the plant and up to the managers, and they moved him out of Rock Hill. He didn't stay. I think they moved him somewhere up in North Carolina. I don't remember the fellow's name, but anyway, that took place.
But that was in 56, wasn't it?
Yes, 56. And we had...
We're going to have to change tapes just a minute.
All right.
Reid,
Yes, ma'am.
when he asked you a question, answer just the question.
We've been hearing that, so I figured I'd get a cutaway.